Hey Sandy, how you doing? Looks like it's just you and me here for a little bit until everybody hopefully gets a notification that we're on. Well, I have figured something out. I'm uploading a video to Patreon right now that is full of me talking about what I just figured out. And I thought, you know what? Let's do a live chat and talk about it. You know how we've noticed for nearly 3 years now that it sure does seem like the other channel creators are abusive with criminal records, a lot of self-reporting of drug abuse, losing custody, child abuse, animal abuse, all sorts of things, I guess that they're proud of. And you know how for almost 3 years straight, we've noticed that we seem to be the only channel that's focused on what happened to Bella and Cece? Well, I just listened to just a few minutes of a live chat, and the channel creator said that she would love to see Ronnie Watts beat the shit out of Cindy Watts. She wants to see Cindy's husband beat the shit out of Cindy. And the people in the live chat, they were not at all shocked by the comment, evidently. So that explains it. Now we know. No kidding. She said she wanted that she would love to see Ronnie Watts beat the shit out of Cindy. She actually said that she would love to see Ronnie Watts beat the shit out of Sandy because throughout her entire video, she kept mistakenly saying Sandy instead of Cindy. So she said she'd really love to see Ronnie beat the shit out of Sandy, and then she kept correcting herself. So this explains why we're the only channel that focuses on what happened to Bella and Cece. And this also explains exactly why they look at the same videos that we look at and they say, what's the problem? This is why evidently they say, oh, she was an excellent mother. Because evidently they're into, you know, abusive behavior. We see how they treat us. We see how they've treated Cindy Watts from day one. Where is it coming from? Who is telling that channel creator to say those things? Because she's evidently having a tough time getting her script right when she kept calling Cindy Sandy. Who's directing her? Who's telling her that the hate campaign against Cindy needs to continue? Hey, Paula. I just saw a live chat, Paula. Just a couple of minutes of it. I was meant to see it, obviously. I clicked on it and then I heard the most atrocious comment by the channel creator. And I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna forget I heard that. A channel creator just said that she would like to see Ronnie Watts beat the shit out of Cindy. Hey, Carla. Hey, Robin. Hey, busy mom. So this explains why the other channel creators are not discussing, not focusing on what Bella and Cece suffered through. And it also explains why they can watch those videos that Shannon Watts put all over the internet and say, oh, she looks like she's a great mom. Because if they say in 2021, okay, we're not talking 1950, where maybe a couple of guys talking might have said something so absurd. And then joked about it or something. I don't know. Maybe 1940. I don't know. Maybe 1910. Maybe never. We're talking 2021. A person saying that she would like to see Ronnie Watts beat the shit out of Cindy. Look at the other channel creators. Look at them. Just look at them. Fighting, yelling, swearing. And they look at those videos and say, oh, what a great mom. What a great mom. Well, I guess if you're somebody who would like to see Ronnie Watts beat the shit out of Cindy, and if you're of the opinion after watching those videos that Shannon Watts was a great mom, see what I'm saying? No wonder we're the only ones that are discussing the issue of medical abuse. No wonder we're the only ones who recognize the look of sadness and the look of fear in little Bella's eyes. And I'm curious, who is directing that channel creator to say such things? Where is that hate really coming from? She said something to the effect of Cindy, collapsing and whining and whatever, and that's where Chris learned it was from his mother. No, you want to know what Chris learned from his parents? He learned to pay his bills. He learned how to save money. He learned the value of post-high school education and probably even a high school education, because I'm thinking that if Shannon Watts ever graduated from high school, we probably would have seen her graduation photo by now. What Chris Watts learned from his parents was that you go to work, that you get a job and you go to work and you save your money and you pay your bills. That's what he learned from his parents. Nowhere in his childhood did he learn that MLMs were a good idea and saying you had a job was just as good as having a job. But notice, Busy Mom, we're the only channel who sees it. And for almost 3 years, we're going like, how can they not see it? How can they not think? I mean, how can they even begin to think that lots of Tylenol is a good thing? How can they even begin to think that a 6:30 bedtime after getting a night-night dose is a good thing? How can they even begin to think that 3 separate emergency rooms is a good thing, or that any emergency room is a good thing for 2 children at the same time? How did their health deteriorate to the point so quickly that it required emergency medical care for both children? You want to know what happened with her hospital job? I highly doubt she ever had a hospital job. I think one thing that we've noticed in the last 3 years is that we've been lied to a lot. I highly doubt any hospital ever hired her. Highly doubt it. And the reason I think that is because when the friend was interviewed, he said she worked at the dealership for a short time. When she got pregnant, evidently, I'm sure she had a fertility issue and a high-risk pregnancy and a little lupus flare. She had to quit her job. And that at that point, she got involved with the MLMs. He never mentioned any hospital job at all. I think it's a lie. Exactly, Robin. How could she be cramping and bleeding and not seek medical treatment? And this explains why the other channel creators don't even care. They don't care. They blow it off. They blow everything off. Nothing matters. None of it matters. Well, if you're going to say that you want to see Ronnie Watts beat up his wife, then I guess really a little, bleeding and cramping wouldn't matter, right? I agree with you, Paula. I do think she was on disability, and I think it was for mental issues, and I think she was on it for a very long time, meaning when she was a child. And I think that's exactly why she was doctor shopping and doctor hopping and hospital hopping with two children who I do not believe were sick unless their mother did something to create the appearance or unless their mother reported symptoms that did not exist. If you were working in human resources at a hospital, would you hire her? Because you'd be able to do a full background check, right? Would you make it through the interview? It was a job for the phones, right? Do you think in any job interview that the interviewers may have heard the word um? Robin says, how did they find out she was having a boy? How do we even know they found out she was having a boy? I think she was the subject of a disability claim when she was young, and I think it saw her through her adult life, and I think she absolutely lied. I highly doubt she worked for any hospital. And I'm not just dancing in the 11th hour saying, I think she's lying. If you dig into that whole nursing school routine, dig in, see it for yourself. The course that she claimed she was taking was not listed for that school, for the school that she said had magically accepted her in no time at all. So if she's going to lie about that, and I think that was, I don't know, 2.5 years ago that I said, hey, if anybody has any information about that, please let me know. And in 2.5 years' time, nobody has come up with any information about that, right? So if she's going to lie about nursing school, that's like a new layer of offensive to any nurse out there who actually did work her butt off in school. Exactly. Her whole life was a lie. Her whole life was a lie. Busy Mom says that she never had to be doctor hopping or give them lots of Tylenol. Exactly. Well, where I'm from, you have a pediatrician for your kids. And if your kids are sick, you call the pediatrician's office. What was with the emergency room hopping? 3 separate hospitals? Both children? Really? And the point that I'm trying to make here is the other channel creators don't care. They don't care. They just started posting pictures of the children after our live chats where we have commented how they don't focus on the kids at all. They just started posting pictures of the kids. And you don't get happy and giddy when the kids get sick. Exactly right. She was happy to find a surgeon who would perform surgery on both children in the same day. Exactly, Mrs. J-Dub. Exactly. But if you're trying to get your kids on disability because it might be all you know, if you're trying to get your kids on disability, then I guess familial Mediterranean fever might sound just right. Well, there you go, Robin. The Mediterranean fever thing was really unbelievable. Exactly. But I bet that it would have been a clincher for the dollar. Mrs. J-Dub, you guys were saying the same things at the same time. I started to say dollars, and Mrs. J-Dub put up a bunch of dollar signs. That was cute. Paula says, from searches I have done, her first appointment that morning was to determine how far along she was, hear the heartbeat, and find out the sex of the baby. Exactly. Why should we believe that they even knew it was a boy? Why should we believe it? How do we even know how far along she was? And spotting and cramping and ignoring it? How do we even know that anything was viable? We don't. Because we have already seen how ridiculous the claims have been. Oh, she made a lot of money on that house in North Carolina. So we went ahead and checked into it and found out that she didn't. We have been lied to over and over again. So why are we believing that her pregnancy was even viable? Spotting and cramping, and she didn't go into the hospital? She went to the hospital for everything else. Oh, wait, she went to the hospital for the girls, right? I don't know, but I imagine if you have a lot of emergency room visits, that might help a disability application. If you're pregnant and you're spotting, you're going to immediately, well, what you should be doing is calling your doctor who you've already seen a few times. By the time somebody claiming to have lupus, fibro, blah, 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 by the time she actually would have been at 15 weeks, she missed probably 4 to 6 doctor appointments. Her specialists would have wanted to see her. And look at this whole Harry's first wife thing. How does anybody know? Seriously. And if you say autopsy, I guess I'll just say, okay, the autopsy that didn't see the neck scar. Oh my goodness, Robin, we did it again. You guys, this is weird. That's like the 4th or 5th time where I'm saying something and you guys are posting the same thing. This is funny. So what does that tell us about the neck scar? Does that tell us that somebody wanted that purposely left off? Input is accepted by the medical examiner. I highly doubt the medical examiner noticed any nut allergies. But that was in the autopsy, right? That's because information is given to the medical examiner. Well, what if somebody asked for that neck scar to please not be included? To help, take the high road, right? Because the neck scar was not included. Spotting and cramping, hadn't seen the doctor, and we're supposed to believe that, oh yeah, she was having a boy. She already had the name picked out. Yep, she already had the name picked out. Just so happened to be the same name as the woman her husband was doinking. Like that would have gone over like a lead balloon. Exactly. Exactly, Robin. That scar could have been self-inflicted. Check the knives. I don't know if you're going to add in information to an autopsy based on reporting by others. Would you feel compelled to maybe leave something off that really didn't serve any purpose other than to maybe reveal something that they felt didn't need to be revealed? Paula, I agree with you. I highly doubt that there was any neck surgery. We're told there was hardware, right? But we're not told there was a scar. So something's up. Something's up. I don't know what, but which is it, right? And we're told that there was a BAC of 0.128, but oh yeah, that was just decomposition. So we're talking about a group of people who have created video after video attacking people, lying about people, lying about the case, saying just the most terrible things, while ignoring the two most important people of the case, Bella and Cece. The neck brace, I don't believe that at all. I do believe that came from Amazon. Or maybe she already had it in her private stash in a bin downstairs. I don't know. I don't know. But have you ever had a friend of yours move in for a month and a half or for a full month or whatever? What, to help you out? Really? A month, month and a half? Really? A nurse? Really? Did you ever live in somebody else's basement for a year? A nurse? Really? She sure had a lot of nurses or people who claim to be nurses or people who claim to be some sort of a whatever they're called. I don't know. I think they're called a Cena or something. She lived an entire year in the basement of a nurse. She had a friend come for what was it, a month or a month and a half? A nurse. Her other friend, who didn't even know how old she was some sort of a nurse's aide. She posted on her own social media as if she was going to a hospital daily in an entirely different state for over a month, month and a half. And then from that point forward, both kids are sick again. Both kids are sick again. What the hell happened when she was posting out at that hospital? What happened right before that? Have you ever moved your parents in for 15 months straight? Have any of your siblings ever left their life behind and moved in for a month and a half? Have you ever had anybody move in? And we were told, I can't remember exactly what the wording was, but wasn't it in one of the police statements that the parents moved in because of her high risk pregnancy? Except she wasn't pregnant. How was that neck scar caused? Why didn't her good friend know how old she was? Of course he would have known. But the question, I think, is when did he find out? And I think the answer is probably when she was pregnant with Bella. Remember that blog that she started and then she quit at 32 weeks, she quit posting. I think at the 32-week mark in her pregnancy with Bella, I think she had some real difficulties, and I think that's exactly when Christopher Watts found out what was going on. I agree, Mrs. Fluffer, and I think that stemmed from the December of 2016 hospital stay for both girls. I agree, Paula. I think she was about 7 or 8 years older. Mrs. J-Dub, I think actually that he was being lied to throughout the entire relationship. I think it was when she was pregnant with Bella that he started going, oh my goodness, what's going on? And then I think from that point forward, I think he was being told things that weren't true about whether or not they would lose Bella, whether or not they were able to split. Yes, the ongoing family matter that we were told by a family member right away, right after the case hit the headlines, we were told by a family member, it was an ongoing family matter, that there were 2 hearings scheduled, and one of them was for an ongoing family matter. I think he was lied to. I think he was lied to over and over and over again. I don't think he thought that he could leave without them losing the girls or without him taking the chance of her ever one day being alone with the girls. Can you imagine worrying about whether or not you'd get custody in a case like that? Worrying about whether or not the court would expand access? Paula says, I think doctors and nurses reported her for the girls being sick. She was going for disability checks on the girls also. I think her main focus in life was trying to get the girls both on a hefty disability check. I think she was reported probably when she was pregnant with Bella. I think there was probably a case back then. I think there was a case before that also. And I think that the ongoing family matter, in my opinion, was because of the time in North Carolina. I think when you have 2 little girls who are constantly sick and then they're suddenly healthy, that hearing was going to be pretty interesting. I think Christopher Watts was facing the choice: stay with his wife or leave his wife behind so he didn't lose his daughters. I don't think Christopher Watts was the one in that marriage who had everything to lose. I think his life would have improved drastically. I think it was Shannon Watts who had everything to lose, and I think that she was not about to let that happen. I just went over and peeked at my email, and I saw a very interesting email, which I don't even know if I want to talk about all of that. I won't say a word. There was just one little thing I was going to say, and then I thought, nah. Yes, Robin, her other 2 daughters. What's that about, right? Well, I think that might have been the first time that CPS was involved during a pregnancy. Mrs. Fluffer, that's really interesting. So people are saying that CW was doing domestic violence and that's why she acted like that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think there was domestic violence in that home, but I think the person who was the violent one was the one who physically shoved him out the front door, locked it, and left him standing out there in the cold weather with no phone and no car keys. And it's hilarious if you think about it, hilarious as in rather ironic, that we're talking about a channel creator who just put a video up saying that she wishes that Ronnie Watts would beat the shit out of Cindy. So there's the go-to source for whether or not Christopher Watts was committing domestic violence. That's for sure. It must be the scripts this week are getting a little bit weak. And she kept saying Sandy instead of Cindy. How hard is that? I don't know. I think the big question, Paula, is why so many lies? If there's nothing to hide, then why the lies? Resilient Rose says, what? What? Resilient Rose. Right, Robin. Yeah, hold still, Cece. Hang on. Got to take your picture. Have you pooped today? Watts Island Weekly, we don't say the channel names here. I don't think I've seen you here before either. Maybe I've seen you here once before, but I don't think so. So you might not know this. We don't say the channel names. We're not about this person that, or this, that person this. The fact that a channel creator just said during her live stream, her live chat, that she wishes that Ronnie Watts would beat the shit out of Cindy. She actually said she wishes she would beat the shit out of Sandy because she kept screwing up on whether or not she was talking about Cindy or Sandy. And then she went on to say that she thinks it'd be really cool for Cindy and Sandy to get into a fight. So they're just fine with women getting beat up by their husbands. That's just fine. And that explains why, over the last 3 years, we're the only channel that has focused on Bella and Cece. We're the only channel that has said, look at those videos. Look at the look of fear in Bella's eyes. Look at how she antagonized Bella to tears. She antagonized her to tears. That Whack-A-Daddy video, Bella did not want to play. Every other mother on the planet can look at that video and see it, but not the abusers who are creating videos who are wanting to see Ronnie Watts beat the shit out of Cindy. No, they look at that video and say, oh, she's such a great mom. She was just having fun. I guess that's fun. She tormented Bella until Bella started to cry. Resilient Rose, that's exactly right. They have been hated on since day one. And I think it's time for those of us who are actually common sense, decent people to say, enough. It's obvious as hell what's been going on for nearly 3 years straight. You want to hate Cindy Watts? Don't take it to YouTube. Don't tell people what to say. Don't tell people to make videos. You want to have a problem with Cindy Watts? Then discuss it with Cindy Watts. I don't mean anyone should call Cindy Watts either, so don't take that wrong. Take a look at those police interviews. Cindy didn't go to the wedding. You know, the best friend acted like she didn't even know Cindy's name. Cindy didn't go to the wedding. She didn't even go to the wedding. She didn't even go to the wedding. Who cares? A woman and the kids are either missing or already discovered dead. And we want to talk about a wedding from 5.5 years previous and say the mother-in-law didn't go. Well, guess what? Nobody else went either. That wedding was not the big deal that a handful of pictures try to make it look like it was. Very few people attended that wedding. 2 people from the Watts side, 2 people from the Watts side attended. The grandmother and the relative who drove her. And I have a feeling if she was still driving on her own, there would have been 1 person attending. And from what we've heard from Cindy, that the grandmother said, they were all but ignored. Except when Shannon told Chris to dance with his grandmother so they could get a good picture. And then they were ignored again. Busy Mom says there's a channel creator who is speaking to the Watts supposedly, and she believes CW is suffering from battered spouse syndrome. When I hear that, I said, this is what Mensa has been saying. I don't believe the channel creators are speaking with her. I don't believe it, but I do believe he was a battered husband for sure. They should have gone and objected to the marriage. Actually, that's probably why she made damn sure they didn't feel welcome to attend. She probably figured somebody would come running toward the front with some sort of evidence that she didn't want Chris to know before they got married. Why, during the police interviews, why was everybody saying she didn't even go to the wedding? Why? And why didn't the police pick up their phone and talk to Cindy Watts? Why didn't they want to hear from Cindy Watts what happened on July 8th of 2018, when all of a sudden her daughter-in-law went from what she thought was normal to absolutely aggressively yelling, charging toward her down the hallway, out of control with scary eyes. So scary that the children ran and hid from her because their fear was because of seeing her eyes. Why didn't the police want to know that? Why didn't they pick up the phone? They kept hearing Cindy's name over and over again. Cindy didn't even go to the wedding. Why didn't they pick up the phone and talk to Cindy Watts? And why, for nearly 3 years, have we seen one video after another attacking Cindy Watts? Cindy Watts had a career. Cindy Watts actually worked. Cindy Watts paid her bills. Cindy Watts took her kids to church. Cindy Watts cleaned her own house. Cindy Watts made dinner every night and had it on the table on time. Cindy Watts actually did the wife and mother thing really well. Cindy Watts was also much more attractive than many other people who we've seen in all of those videos. much more attractive. I think there were a lot of people who didn't like Cindy Watts for the wrong reasons. And I think that when Shannon Watts wanted Cindy Watts to take care of the children while they vacationed, I think that made a lot of people angry, even more angry at Cindy Watts, because that is evidence, that is direct evidence that Shannon Watts and Cindy Watts were actually close, that Shannon Watts trusted Cindy Watts, that Shannon Watts trusted Cindy Watts to take good care of Bella and Cece while she was out of the country. Yet what's the narrative? Cindy hated her. And who started the narrative? AD. AD started it early on, that Cindy Watts hated Shannon. That's bullshit. The night before Shannon had her nut meltdown, Shannon told Cindy Watts things that she hadn't shared yet. Some very serious information. That's how close she felt to Cindy Watts. Shannon Watts and Cindy Watts were close for about 5 years straight. So close that Shannon Watts confided in Cindy very personal information in 2018. My hunch is that the hate campaign, the organized hate campaign against Cindy from day one, is an attempt to discredit her so that in the event she ever shares what Shannon Watts shared with her, that there would be such a hate-mongering campaign against her already that people wouldn't hear her. But guess what? I heard her. And I believe her. She's not my favorite person. I think the way they had lawyers lining up pro bono and then suddenly allowed their daughter to talk them into going with YouTubers was disgusting, quite frankly. So she's not my favorite person, but the issue of the unfair attacks against her, I think, is huge to this case. Cindy Watts knows a lot of details about Shannon Watts' life. And I think that is what is behind the organized hate campaign against Cindy Watts. I think the people who are creating videos nearly 3 years later saying that they want to see, they wish they could see Ronnie Watts beating the shit out of Cindy. I think she's been directed to make a hateful video against Cindy Watts. Miss CD, I agree with you. Definitely. I think that their daughter is connected to the scumbag attackers and has been from day one. And I think it's really sad because I think that the abuse, the harassment, the hate towards Cindy, I think her daughter is directly involved. There was a live chat one time where two of the most mouthy haters were bashing Cindy Watts. And guess who texted them during the live chat? Texted two known scumbag attackers, the daughter. I'm sorry, but if you're doing a live chat where you're bashing Cindy Watts, why on earth would her daughter even have the the phone number to text a scumbag attacker in the first place? Welsh Truth Dragon is happy to be here. We're happy to have you, Welsh. Yes, busy mom. Alice is very hateful, and she's been hateful for a long time. A long time. She's very hateful towards Cindy. Well, they sit there and try to act like they're little prima donnas, right? Well, you can't be spitting hate like that. I mean, the other channel creator just now who did the live chat saying that she wishes Ronnie Watts would beat the shit out of Cindy. If you're okay with domestic violence, if you're okay with wife beaters, if you're okay with any person getting the shit beat out of them, then you're an abusive asshole. You're an abuser too. If you're okay with abuse, then you are an abuser too. 2021, and there's a channel creator posting a video, and hey, the chat was lively. There were people talking. I didn't see anyone tell her that that was over the line. So I think that's what's been going on. I think we've been dealing with abusers. And I've said right from the start, we're not going to make excuses for abusers. We're not going to do it. We're not going to make excuses for child abusers. We're not going to make excuses for abusers, whether it's their husband or not. All you have to do is look at those videos that are posted online. Now, I'm not saying that Christopher Watts is, husband of the year. That's for damn sure. And I'll tell you why I don't like Christopher Watts is because of that water video when he shut that slider. He should have chosen his daughter over his wife. And he shut that slider right on Bella. Miss CD says, did you see that Alice is now trying to shut us up talking about the Summer case? Who does she think she is? I agree that people should not be discussing the Summer case. I definitely agree with that. I think her trying to tell anyone to be quiet about it is hilarious because she might want to start practicing what she preaches. Hi, Gypsy Moon. Well, I put that in my last video, I think, that if she wants YouTube to start doing whatever it is she wants YouTube to start doing, I hope they start with her. Because she's one of the biggest haters of all that I've seen so far who have been discussing the Watts case. She just does her hate with a craft in her hands, so people get a little confused. It's kind of hard to think somebody's really truly evil when they're in a dollar store. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the dollar store and the minivan and the, backdrop of that kitchen. It's kind of hard to recognize evil. I love it when she talks about brainwashing and cults and stuff. It's like, whoa. How's that go? Preaching to the choir? I'm with you, busy mom. Somebody commented before that they're calling her the kitchen lady instead of Alice. I think that's interesting. And I think that even though they're trying to pretend like they're against her, I think they're trying to give her a better nickname because I don't think she likes the name Alice. Kind of like the avocado. I think it's hilarious how people are saying, I gave her that name when they didn't. Miss CD, I think what she's talking about is how the same pattern's in place. And she's asking the question, why are people jumping on that case and they're going to try to pull the same crap they pulled with the Christopher Watts case and everything? What she's failing to say is that she's in direct contact with the family. She's posting videos that are full of hate towards Cindy Watts and other channel creators, including me. She sends her little minions out to try to be, I guess, hateful and to harass us. And then she wants to sit up there in her Star Trek chair, clicking her weird microphone with her fingernails, which you're not supposed to do, and act hoity-toity. I don't think people should be breaking down this Summer case at all. And 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, that never would have happened. Hey guys, sorry about that, but my phone rang and I need to take this call, so I'm going to have to cut this short and I will be back when I can. Everyone have a great day.